Hi. I think some of you might be a little confused about the Cherokee paper, which is understandable. So I wanted just to try talking to you through video. So in addition to having the written instructions, you'll have this if this helps. If you understand the written instructions, then you certainly don't need to watch this. But if you're confused a little bit, maybe this will help kind of help you think through things. So as you read the Cherokee removal book, you'll see that it's divided up in chapters. So you have the first introduction, which gives you an overview of the whole story from beginning to end. The origins of the Cherokee people all the way through their removal west of the Mississippi in the 1830s and the Trail of Tears. And then following that introductory chapter, which is the longest part of the book, the longest single part of the book, you have chapters that are focused on different themes. So you have the origins, you have the civilizing years and the creation of the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, establishing a new form of government in the early 1800s. Then you have the focus on missionaries, Christian missionaries, Moravian Christians, who are involved in this civilizing, so-called process. And then you move through and you have the Cherokees and the state of Georgia. You have Cherokees and the state and the federal government of the United States, and you have moving towards the Trail of Tears and the removal process. I think for your papers, what you're going to want to do is focus on just one of these chapters. So the idea with the group work here is that, say you're in group A or B, whatever it is, you're going to have this background reading that you've done then already. The easiest thing to do, of course, would be to write your paper based on this reading you've done for the group work. But since you have access to the group work that everybody else has done, I'm hoping that some of you might decide, well, I'm actually more interested in what Group C did. I think I'm going to use their work to get me started on my paper. But whatever you choose to do, the idea is that you're asking yourself a research question, or you're asking a research question. So if you're interested in Cherokee civilization, then your research question might be something like, why did some Cherokee choose to adopt Christianity and others chose to reject Christianity? So you'll research that in the book. You don't need to use any outside sources, and really I don't want you to use any outside sources because I want you to focus on these documents in this book. So you'll read through these documents in that first chapter on Cherokee civilization, and you'll try to answer that question, why some Cherokees decided to adopt Christianity while others did not. Then, after you've written up your notes and you've got some, kind of a paper forming, you might develop your thesis at that point, and your thesis should be an answer, a very direct answer to your research question. Remember, so you ask, why did some Cherokees adopt Christianity? Then your thesis should be, some Cherokees, especially those who had at least one parent who came from white American society, adopted Christianity because of A, B, and C. And you answer that question in your thesis statement. So then you've got your thesis statement, in your introductory paragraph to your essay, and then the rest of your essay should be supporting that thesis statement, supporting that argument that you're making in your thesis statement, using the documentary evidence from this Cherokee removal book. Same thing if you want to focus on the Trail of Tears and the actual removal process. Come up with a good research question, something that you can answer with the documents at hand, and then answer that question as you do your research, put it in the form of a clear thesis statement in your introductory paragraph, and then use the rest of your paper to defend or support that argument, that thesis, with the evidence that you have. So that's basically it. I think that you can that you can do this. It's only a 5-page paper, double-spaced. I think you'll find that just putting out onto paper what you know from doing the reading, doing the work on this, it won't take you very long to get to 5 pages, plus an introductory paragraph and a concluding paragraph, and you will be all set. Obviously, email me if you have questions as you go through this, but the main thing here is that we're trying to introduce you to those features, right, that you read about, those basic features of historical work. You're using primary sources, you're using secondary sources. In this case, they're both coming from the same book, but you have the primary documents in, after chapter 2 through 5 or whatever it is, and you have the secondary sources, which is Theta Perdue's introductory chapter, the long introduction, which gives you the overview of the whole history. So you're using primary sources, you're using secondary sources, you're doing your own interpretation of those documents, those primary sources, and then you're writing, and you're writing persuasively to make an argument about these documents. You're telling your reader what these documents mean. You're explaining to your reader, how they should understand this history based on the sources that you've uncovered, the sources that you've analyzed and studied. So do those things and I'll be very happy. Don't do those things and that's when we run into problems. But that's what I'm looking for with this paper. I want you to go through this process of being a historian, thinking like a historian, writing like a historian. That's the main point of this paper. So let me know if you have questions, but I think hopefully you'll be okay. And as far as the homework goes for the 31st and the 1st, I'll collect everybody who submits something for Group 1 or Group A. I'll put it together in one document, post it. Everybody who submits something in Group B, I'll do the same thing. So I'll kind of compile all the notes that you do individually and put them up on Blackboard. Hopefully everybody submits this, by Friday noon, and then I can send it back out to everybody later in the day on Friday. So, your papers aren't due for a little while. You'll have time to look over these notes and use them as you're figuring out what your paper is going to really focus on.